Dustin Wise, discuss county airport issues, concerns, thoughts. Just a little background, Dustin had approached me three times on different issues since I've been trying to learn the airport thing. He had questions and concerns and thoughts. I decided we all needed to hear because they were for the whole commission thoughts. So Dustin, I'm gonna turn it over to you to tell us what you need to tell us.
All right. Well, I think the biggest question is who's going to be managing the airport?
And at this point, I don't believe we have an airport manager because there's no budget for a manager. The last commission didn't budget for one.
Sure.
So I don't believe we have a manager. We have me trying to be the representative to the airport.
And I understand that the airport manager, as in the past, was a county position. But the truth of the matter is in the FAA's eyes, there's no such thing as no airport manager.
He would be the manager.
Oh, right.
Well, you
okay.
sure gave me up quick.
So,
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and this is rhetorical, but, so, there is an airport manager, and as it is, it's Dave Doe. So, who will be doing the physical work on the airport? Because
Like what kind of work are you describing?
all the maintenance needed for the airport.
Like what?
Mowing the grass, changing the lights, doing the building maintenance, regulating, making sure that things are within compliance.
Like what things in compliance?
Yeah, sure. The use of hangars has been a big issue in the past. Condition of the vehicles,
Which vehicles?
courtesy vehicles.
Courtesy vehicles.
I forgot mine. But
Yeah.
Well,
Did you not read the lease? When
Oh,
you
I did.
signed it?
We're getting there.
Well, okay, I just asked you a question.
Yes.
You did. Okay,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
I read it through and through. Now that we did bring up the lease agreement, I signed it because it was kind of over a barrel, and I knew that there was going to be some new eyes in the office very shortly. But to be honest, the lease agreement's not very fair because it holds me accountable for the whole airport, financially and physically. Regardless of what's going to be enforced, that's what's written.
Okay, but how is it financially a burden on you with the airport?
So, for example, last year, the septic system went out. And as it's written, I would be in charge, or I would have to pay for all the work to be done.
Who paid for it last year?
The county, after 3 months of not having it.
After numerous other people helping
Okay,
you
yeah.
get there.
Well, we'll come around and
Right.
make comments. Okay, go ahead.
For example, I do not have the funds to support all the needs of the buildings, of the lights, and things of that nature.
Or do we not pay for the lights? I mean, is there light bulbs inside?
I that's how it's been, but as the lease agreement is written, that is how I'm held accountable for all that.
But where does it, because I went over the lease agreement and I don't see where it tells where you have to pay for.
Well, not
The lights.
specifically, but
Not
If-
at all, actually.
We've always paid for this maintenance supplies that come through payables,
okay.
and I don't see where that's ever changed. This never came out of your pocket. Nor does it say in the lease that will come out of your pocket.
What I've seen happen is I see something wrong, I report it, and it never gets taken care of.
Okay, that'd be a separate issue, but on the financial one, I am concerned. Are you being
Let's
put
see.
out money that we're not aware of?
No, but that was under the old lease agreement.
Have you spent any of your own money since the new lease agreement?
I've been holding off on doing maintenance. And I don't wanna be in violation of the lease agreement, but I also realize that I can't take care of the airport for you guys and run a business for free.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're getting the value of a lease, which you pay $100 a month for, from the county, which is probably on the market worth more like $1,300 to $1,700 to $1,800 a month. And I think the intent of the former board was that in return for the value of the lease, you would perform the duties listed on the contract that I understand you felt like you were over a barrel, but I think that's where the disconnect is. I think we're all thinking you agreed to do that work in return for that lease. And is that?
I would
what
like
you're thinking?
I would like it to be renegotiated.
You'd like to renegotiate the lease. Okay.
I am fully capable of doing all the work, but at a certain point, it's gonna take away too much away from my business in order for me to turn a profit and live
And you run your business where?
at the airport.
And what do you pay for that?
That's none of your business.
Oh, out of order, please.
Well,
She's
Out of order, please. But
You're not having
I am
any
paying
out
a
of
rent.
pocket costs to the county for using their property.
I'm paying rent for people that are paying rent to you guys.
yeah, so you're leasing, you're.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So you guys are,
So you lease a hangar.
yes, I do.
Okay, so are you here today really to discuss that you wanna renegotiate the lease?
I would, we can table that. But I think the real question is I've seen the airport just kinda get the back burner and not be maintained. And I don't think any of us would like to see that.
No, I think the misunderstanding that we may be having, and I'm speaking for myself, is that we thought you were gonna do the items on that. Of course, I wasn't here when you signed it, so, but I've read through the list. I thought
Mhm.
you were gonna do that mowing and snow and all the things, the light bulbs, in return for the value of the lease, and that the county was paying for supplies like they always have. I mean, that was my
And
understanding.
that's kinda what,
So,
another question is it a 3-bedroom home? Or a
Yes.
2-bedroom? Okay.
So I think that's probably the disconnect, is we may have thought maintenance was being done because we thought you'd agreed to do that. And as far as financial, I don't think anybody here thought it's changed. We're still paying for the light bulbs and the power and the water and all the things. So.
It just says that I am to be in charge of the maintenance. And it doesn't say just physically. To me, that could also, I mean, that looks as like it can also be financially as well.
Well,
To keep airport grounds maintained.
I think you're reading quite a bit into the financial part, but I wasn't here. You were,
Yeah, and that
is
was
it?
never implied, and was never been asked to pay for, out of your pocket for any of the maintenance.
Okay, well, as long as I'm not gonna be in violation of it, but,
In violation of,
the lease agreement.
I don't believe anybody here expects you to pay for the materials just to perform the maintenance tasks that you listed on the lease, that that you agreed to on the lease. But I don't think anybody expected you to pay for the supplies.
Okay, so how would you like me to go forth obtaining funds or,
How have you done that in the past? Before I got here, I don't know what you have, but you haven't been paying for supplies for the last year and a half or so how did you get the money in the past? Didn't you
well,
just-
I didn't get the money, but it's whatever you guys would like to do.
How did you
You
get
know,
your
I
supplies?
usually would text the airport manager saying, hey, this needs to be done.
Okay, So you did text me the other day about light bulbs being out on the runway. In my mind, the county's paying for the light bulbs, but you're putting them in. That's what it
So-
looked like you agreed to.
I would like to go back a little bit more.
Sure.
Before this lease agreement. When I first came here 2 years ago, I met up with Mike Fitzgerald, John, and Jay, John Hanson and Jay Hoover in the Pirates Lounge. And I was bugging them about being the airport manager. And they talked to me, Mike Fitzgerald talked to me, and the agreement was, hey, we cannot afford an airport manager right now. A current hangar leasee, has filed a complaint that has withhold a lot of our funds, and we just can't afford anybody. But if we let you stay here, you can open up your own business and trade. You can maintain the Pirates facility, the lounge and the landscaping. And when we have the funds, we can hand you the keys and we can hire you as the airport manager. So that was the premise 2 years ago. The litigation of the hangar owner, or I should say, airport user, because he wasn't a hangar owner, went away. And then eventually he went away. And so I went to the commissioner about 8 months ago and says, is there any future thought of using me as an airport manager ever? And the answer was no. And so I was like, okay, well, it's really costly to start your own business, yet alone in aviation. Things cost a lot of money versus like an automotive. And I've been funding it wherever I can. I didn't take a business loan. And I know that's not your guys' problem, but it's an issue that I have to face. I came into this anticipating to possibly be the airport manager. And so I decided to supplement my income by going to Alaska for 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And I always had my wife and an employee there to take care of any maintenance needs for the airport to keep my obligation fulfilled. That did not go well. Because I didn't ask permission. Well, of course, the lease agreement never listed that I asked permission to go do this. And it's just like, it's kind of my business to put food on the table. It's my responsibility to keep things going, financially, and if I was the airport manager and I'm expected to be there all the time and help pilots out and maintain the fuel farm, it would be a different story. But that wasn't the case. And after doing it for a while, I got ahead a little bit and I saw that I needed to be back. I'm back. And then that's when the new lease agreement came. So, another thing is another agreement, verbal agreement. I don't think we have it written anywhere. It was about a year ago, a little over a year ago, Mike Fitzgerald decided to take care to contract my business to take care of the airport. As far as any maintenance needed to be done, that I bill the county for it. And that worked until Mike Fitzgerald left. And, it just never was. And then it was thrown in my lease agreement to take care of the airport.
Okay. So
So I'm in limbo, and I've been in limbo. I don't even want to hang a picture because I don't know what my future holds there at the airport. And I'm not looking to make a lot of money. I'm looking for stability and, of course, you know, to see an airport taken care of and the lifestyle. That's my personal game. I'm not looking for control. The only authority that I would need is to be able to purchase a plant when it's dead, you know, to take care of something when I see it's taken care of. I submit, you know, things that need to be taken care of, and then they just never get taken care of. I never
Are
get.
you talking about in the past?
Yes. I've been holding off on, you know, I've given you light because I know you're technically the airport manager right now, on things that need to be taken care of, and that's what I've historically been, as a reporting agency. You know, I keep watch for security and report to the airport manager of anything that needs to be taken care of or any issues.
I'm not sure what to tell you, Dustin. I think, to restate where I think the county is the county thinks that you agreed to do that list of maintenance items, which they would pay supplies for, in return for that $1,300 or whatever the value of your home is, rent. If you don't want to do that, I understand that. It's not as good of a deal as you had in the past. I think I hear you. Can we promise you an airport manager spot? The last commission didn't leave a budget for that, so as I've mentioned to you before, at least for the first, you know, until a new budget comes, there's nothing there. I don't think anybody's in a position to promise you anything, and I don't want any non-written agreements. We can't have a verbal agreement with you like Mike maybe did. We want to do everything properly in writing with you. We want to treat you fair, but I think we're gonna expect that you're gonna treat us fair. Either you sign the lease and you do the work, or you don't sign the lease and we work something else out, or we don't. I mean, that's the choices. But right now, if we're gonna negotiate in good faith, I think we need to see you doing the work you've agreed to, for which we are willing to pay for supplies, and I don't
Always
mean to
have.
speak for the whole board, so
We always have. Yeah.
jump in. I understand your frustration. I understand that you might not feel this is as good a deal as you could get, but I think from the taxpayer's perspective, we have a house there that's worth $1,300 to $1,800 a month in rent in the Silver Valley. We're putting you in there for $100 a month and hoping to trade the rest of that for your work.
And they're paying for the gas and power, so you gotta figure that in. That's probably.
Well,
in
the
the
gas and
wintertime-
power is gonna have to be taken care of with or without me, but,
Well, you're.
I
really there for the
agree,
heat,
I
you know what
do,
mean? So
I do,
probably
and I
300.
try to be really conservative,
Yeah,
but I hear what your point.
so would it be fair to
Um,
say that you're getting paid about $1,600 a month? You know, if we, you know, if the home is $1,400 in rent, and then another $300 for power and trash and sewer, and then that would be about, and then minus your 100, that'd be about $1,600 a month. And then if I go and look at this, the things that you're supposed to do, keep airport grounds maintained. How long does that take to water it and to, I mean,
Well,
what
it
I'd
depends.
like you to do is put how many hours on each of these things that it takes, so that we can kinda understand.
Gauge, we can do that.
Yeah,
You know, we can, you know, this is just a discussion, we're not trying to make decisions today. But we can do that, and I can log all my time. Last year, I kind of did a tally, or I kinda did a rough tally in my head of, okay, so if you got billed, you know, for my airport maintenance rate, which was like $45 an hour.
and
If
see,
you,
the problem we have there is we have our maintenance people here that we're only paying, you know,
but that's,
$18 an hour, so, you know, that's where we, you know, that might be the change
okay,
right
so
there.
that is what they are getting paid, but not the burden cost. So we're talking, if you're gonna hire a landscaper to come in and or an electrician to come in, or, you know, whatever, what is that gonna cost? Public Works is tapped out and people. They can't do this. I mean, they don't have the time or manpower to do this. But what is the burden cost of all the benefits, the insurance and wage? And that's a really tough number to get because it's county, it's government. And that is the real cost.
Well, like right now, we're gonna go fix a door on Friday, and our maintenance man's gonna go down there, and we're gonna fix one of the hangar doors, so I mean, you know, we do have.
So that's a hangar door for a hangar you guys own?
That's right.
Yep. So
But we're
That's
paying
another-
him
that's
18
another
bucks an hour to
issue.
do that.
you know, should the county be in business of leasing hangars? That's usually a private thing. Should the county be in business of selling fuel? I would like to be an FBO, just like Granite Aviation, just like Stancraft, just like Resort. I would like to sell fuel. I would like to provide pilot services. I can't because the county has it. So, and I would even be willing to pay you lease. You know, if I own a hangar, I pay you lease. Doesn't matter if I lease it out to somebody. But this is the public entity encroaching on private services. And it's kept me from growing. I tried to sell fuel.
What
And-
happened to that?
The current airport manager didn't like it.
That's me.
No, this was last year.
Okay.
So, you know, in efforts to grow my business, get income. You know, aircraft maintenance is not an easy thing, you know, to make a lot of money on. Never has been.
But then you take the liability, cause there is a liability in selling fuel. So
Absolutely.
you would have to be bonded, you'd have to be
Yep.
insured and everything else.
Absolutely.
The county has insurance for their own. but
Well,
they
that's
don't.
no different than any other business anywhere. And, as it is right now, the fuel farm, well, as it's been in the past, the fuel farm wasn't being maintained to Phillips 66 standards. And, you know, the price wasn't being tracked. You know, it's the government running the business. They don't run businesses that well. Maybe you guys would do a better job. But, there's a lot more involved to maintaining the airport and a fuel farm than what meets the eye.
So how many hours would you spend on the fuel farm, and what, you know, kind of explain to the public what that entails and what the service entails, and how often does it have to be serviced per their standards?
It's something that doesn't take a lot of time, but it's constant. It's daily, it's weekly, it's keeping track of the price, keeping track of what your price is gonna be when you're gonna buy it. It's measuring specific gravity upon fuel delivery. It's sumping water out of both the fuel filter and the tanks. And you know, keeping track of your flow and knowing when to order. And you know, if you're not there every other day, you can fall behind really quick. And last year we were out of fuel 3 or 4 times, one of them being over a month. And think about all the lost revenue. You know, I was trying to sell fuel. I was gauging the market. I was gauging what people were selling around me. And I quickly learned how to set prices in my fuel, which is no ethanol premium, which should not be a conflict of Hunter low lead because they're different fuels. And I knew
So you were
Then-
selling fuel out?
There were legal
very
issues
short,
as to why
very
they could
short.
not.
It was another one of those verbal agreements I made with Mike Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
you know, that didn't get passed along to the other guys. And, you know, I asked Mike what his standards were for me to sell fuel. He says as long as it's above grade for DEQ, he's fine with it. Okay, well, that's exactly what I did. And, it lasted for like a week. But it was during the time you guys were out of fuel, and there was dozens of pilots flying in going, where's the fuel? And, you know, there wasn't a note amount.
So how many pilots fly in and out on the average? Well,
Well, there's a big difference between summer and winter.
Okay.
Summertime, you know, especially depending on the price of fuel, if we have a lower price, we're gonna get a lot of people coming in because they're looking for an excuse to fly. Hey, let's go to this little airport that has some courtesy cars and somewhat lower fuel than Coeur d'Alene. And it's a beautiful area. They come in, they go into town, they get a hamburger, and they fill up on fuel, and then they leave. So, you know, that's a big variant. And not having a reputation of not having fuel has put a huge dampener on the market for customers. And you think of a business with customers. You know, they're not even gonna bother coming over here because they think, well, heck, they show they have fuel, but do they? And then, in the past, the airport telephone, there was one number, it's been one number since it began with Dwayne Williams. People would call. And of course, in the past, the airport manager would pick up and give them, you know, hey, you know, this is what the weather is. Yes, we have fuel. Yes, we have courtesy cars. Or no, we don't have parking for any airplanes right now. And, you know, just answer all these questions. And it was in the pilot's lounge. And by the time, and it used to ring. And by the time we get to it, it'd hang out. And so we put a phone cord into our house so we could answer the phone to all these potential pilots and customers coming in, answer their phones. Well, we got reprimanded for that because it was misuse of public property. And then for over a year, the phone would just ring and ring and ring and ring and ring and ring, and nobody answered the phone. And so again, you gotta look at it as a customer service perspective. You know, if this was a business, this business would have been bankrupt a long time ago. And,
Well, let me.
you know, I would like to see this. You guys could shed responsibility, shed the burden, and it be better and make money. I'm offering this to you guys. Think about whether you want the airport to cost you money or not. Think about what it cost last year to own that airport, and then times it by 2, because we know that the federal grants available can match 50% of the funds, correct?
I'm not
That's what he said
The
at the
CARES
last
Act.
meeting. The guy that you brought in.
Some of the expenses.
Yeah.
The maintenance, the operating
Operating
expenses.
expenses can be
Operating
reimbursed.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking
But
about.
that's the whole thing, is it's a grant, so, you know, if we base ourselves off of that, and if it's not here next year, I
They're
mean,
not
that's,
guaranteed.
they're not guaranteed, grants aren't completely guaranteed, you know, especially what's going on in our country, I mean,
Sure.
they're even looking at, we may not receive the other part of the, grant that we received earlier this year, we're supposed to receive another chunk next December, and, you know, that may not happen,
Okay.
you know, that's,
So,
Well, we can work with Colleen to make it more financially viable.
what, I feel like we're exploring this.
Sure.
And we all agreed we'd like the airport to be a stronger, better organized. I felt like we sort of had a partial plan, even though you weren't titled manager, you were given several responsibilities to manage in return for your lease. I mean, granted, there's more to be done. You and I have talked about that. I'm in over my head. We're working on that. what do you want today? What's the solution? How do we get to where we're going? Because we've already got an agreement in place that you've stated you don't care for, and you mentioned in the beginning you wanna renegotiate. We don't have the ability to hire an airport manager right now. So what do you see as the short-term solution? Because I think we are probably seeing the lease and the duties as the short-term solution. You've stated that that's an issue. What do you want? Because I'd love to work out a win-win for everybody, especially the airport. That's
So
my-
I think we should, corral up the costs of operating this airport, including my time, including Harley's time to plow, which is a different issue.
And he's getting paid by the county anyway.
It's,
So
Sure.
it would just be.
Sure,
it
no,
would
well,
just
I'm
be
talking
your-
about the overall cost, your overall cost right now, of, like, let's say last year, the overall cost of what it costs to have that airport. And I'll track my time over the course of a month. And you guys can track your expenses over the course of the month. And it's tough because work varies, right, with weather. There's some days where it's like I mow the lawn and, turn around, I gotta mow it like 2-3 times a week. But then you incorporate the whole airport for, fire mitigation and the grass runway. That's a lot of time.
So you're doing more than just your lawn?
Not right now, but as this lease agreement is written, I would be responsible for the whole airport. And like I said, I'm not opposed to that, but I can't lose my shorts either. Even if I got something, not working on airplanes costs me.
Well, part of the problem is you probably signed a lease you shouldn't have signed, it sounds like.
Okay?
That sounds like, because you agreed
I
to something that you don't
agree.
really agree to.
I agreed, but the other option was to vacate.
Understood. But that's part of the problem is,
And I would like to, I did not feel the last administration was very reasonable. And, I thought maybe you guys would be a little bit more reasonable. And that's kinda what I held on to.
well, I think everybody wants to be reasonable. We are stuck with certain financial limits.
Sure.
And just like you're stuck with a lease agreement that you don't particularly like, we're stuck with some financial limits. Like there is no budget that had to have been done last year and it wasn't. There's no budget for a manager right now. Even though you and I could probably say that this thing would run much better if it had a manager. I don't know. I think we need to do some benchmarking and figure out what other airports this size are doing. I think there's some work to be done.
Okay.
But what do we do in the meantime to get, because we've got a list of duties that we think we're trading you a house for. How do we get those things done? Are you interested in doing them for the interim, for now?
Yes.
Okay.
If, I live in this county too, I'm not trying to wage war, in the same place I live. So, if working for free means, at least getting a better grasp of what all entails managing the airport.
Try not to think of it as
Yeah.
free, because we feel like we're
I
trading
agree,
something.
but the mine shut down many moons ago, and all the way up until a couple of years ago, the airport manager got $1,600 a month plus full health insurance
But that's the thing is
and the house.
you're listed in, that's what I'd like to do. How many hours does it take you to maintain the pilot's quarters? How many hours a week does it take you to do that?
Well, that's just a portion, and that's very small. I get it,
Yeah,
but it all adds up over
Assist
everything.
pilots in, if needed. That's was one of my
And I'm
questions. How
fine-
many
and
pilots
that's-
come in and out of the airport? You didn't answer the question.
And okay, I'm sorry. In the summertime, a lot. About
round about like a month.
Anywhere from 2 to 6 to 10 a day.
Okay.
You know, in the wintertime, it's really dead. People don't have a whole lot of weather reporting capability, so they just don't fly here. Which is something I would like to help with as well.
Okay. Now on that, okay, so let's say up to 10 a day, do you have to help them fuel? Or is it kind of self-service?
It's a self-serve,
Okay,
unless issues arise.
okay,
And then I come over and I help them, you know, or, you know, I don't have the MasterCard, I can't do anything with the fuel farm. But, as far as the card reader is concerned, the issues we've had in the past is the biggest issue is not having fuel. Can't help them with that.
And I think you and I have worked out a way of making sure we have fuel.
It's really slow right now for 2 reasons. One, weather. And number 2, we're one of the highest price in the area. And so it's not gonna flow. And we are coming up, I think, on 6 months for a refresh. You guys have to look at when the last time you had a load. And it'd be worth to drop it to whatever you paid for it just to flow through to get another load. Or if you could take a load now. I don't think you can take a load now. I have to do the math.
Well, I know you and I talked about waiting until it hit on the gauge at the right spot. You were gonna let me know when we could take a load.
Yeah.
So I know we're working on that. Let's just say for argument's sake that you and I agree that eventually we need to maybe get where we have a manager again. How are we gonna get from here to there? Well, one, I think as Commissioner Zimmerman's mentioning, is we need to start tracking, we need to start doing these duties that you've agreed to, but tracking the hours, and let's figure out, if we were gonna advertise a position in the future, we'd need to have an idea. This is about X hours. It was always considered a part-time job in the past, I think.
Yep.
So let's figure out the hours. If you were ever gonna apply for manager at the airport, it would be really good for you that you could be seen that even though you had a rotten agreement in your mind, you still honored it and you did your job. So do your job, but count the hours. Let's keep working and talking towards how we get to the point where we can do better with a manager or whatever the solution is, because you and I both want that airport to prosper. I think the whole county wants that airport to prosper. We don't just wanna talk about it, we wanna actually do it. So let's start by studying the hours, doing the job, do it as best it can be done, but keep track of what it really takes in physical time and effort to do that. We'll track the finances to figure out, well, if he's really doing the job, it takes X dollars a month in supplies and light bulbs and whatever, and we'll keep good, accurate records on that. Now that we could revisit in the future and work on as budgets allow, as time allows, as grants allow, whatever our options are. Then the day might come when we could say, let's open it up and see who we have that wants to apply for manager. But right now, all the best we have financially and otherwise, I think, is this agreement, which, you know, it's not everything, but it at least is $1,300 or $1,400 a month in some value. It's not everything that was in the past, it's not everything you had in the past, but it's kinda like the decision you made a couple months ago when you signed it. It might be the best we have to offer right now. And let's move forward with the idea of a future, but we need to study the hours, and we need to study, somebody needs to compile a list of the job description of this thing. That's something I'd ask you to help me with in the future, is let's start looking at what a job description would look like if we get to the point where we could do that.
You guys don't have any old files with the
We have a lot of old files. Have I found that? No.
Sure.
No, I haven't.
That might be something to look at.
But-
Compare with other airports our size in other counties and not look at their operations.
But to be honest, if you wanna be in the running for that position in the future, then it would look really good that you helped us carry out what you've agreed to for the present,
Okay?
okay? Unless you have, I'm trying to keep this going so we can keep going. Do you have any more questions or comments at this point? Cause then I'm gonna let the public talk.
Absolutely. Would you guys entertain me being able to sell fuel either with your guys' fuel farm or with my fuel setup in a legal sense.
In a legal sense.
Meaning, well, yeah, I know, yeah,
We really
everything
like
should
to
be
do it
done legally,
Yeah.
but, you know,
I think the reason it was revoked because of issues in the proper legal requirements that were going on. So
that's what I'm talking about. So as far as, you know, what I got presented for reason to not sell fuel, let's see if it's in here. Here it is this right here. A bunch of rules. Printed off, and this is, you see me with this big white binder. This is the airport operations manual. It is 2 pages per page, double-sided, probably 600 pages right there. This is the governance authority for our airport. We're not a, was it 139 level airport? And this has a lot of the stuff in it. There's a lot of things that is not easy to interpret. But this was printed off for me. And Dave, can you read the fine print at the very top?
Rent and airport regulations?
That's correct.
Okay. What about it?
They were, that's what those rules are out of.
That's out of the rent and airport.
So nothing out of this. Now, I'm not saying that I was 100% legal, because after doing research, I found some things that, you know, like for fire codes, like, oh, I need to be away from the building. You know, we have a flammable leave. But, as far as the grounds of a cease and desist, I wasn't really provided any solid grounds. Even the FAA representative that I talked to could not find it. He's like, well, it's in there somewhere. And it's like, if you're gonna enforce rules, you have to be able to quote chapter and verse where it is and how and why and how to comply. You know, okay, is it possible for anybody, not just me, anybody to sell fuel? Why or why not? How? Like I've shared with you guys, I would like to be an FBO. I would like to provide service for transient pilots and the people that own airplanes there. And I'm not interested in doing a selling fuel out of the trunk of my car. I'm interested in being legal.
Have you looked at what it would cost, the insurance and what, you know, what you have, do you have to be bonded? I have no, I don't understand how that works, but have you looked into that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Did you,
And
are you bonded?
Not yet.
No?
And it's not bonded, it's just insured.
Insured? Okay.
But the thing is again, comes the finances. Where am I gonna get this money? You know, and I can explore the options on how to do that, but why when I don't even know what my future holds?
One of the problems is we, as a county, we can't loan you money.
No, I'm
So
not
I-
asking,
no,
I'm not
what saying-
asking for
What
that.
I'm saying is if with
I'm
the
not
tanks,
asking
you
for
would
that.
have to fill the tanks with your own money
Yep,
and then start from there if that's something you do, but, you know, we couldn't
so
fill the
if,
tanks.
so going back to the bird's eye view, would you guys be willing to entertain the thought of me selling fuel at this airport and being a fixed base operator, like I would like to be?
Explain a little bit about the fixed base operator, what are
A
they?
fixed base operator provides pilot and aircraft services, but is also to include the selling of fuel, which is a really big moneymaker. If you look at any FBO, they usually do aircraft leasing, aircraft maintenance, car rental, and selling fuel. And they'll all tell you selling fuel is really kind of is the big flyweight that keeps everything going. I have airplanes that come in for an annual. I don't get paid for 3 months because they end up being projects. And this is my business perspective, and I know it's not the county's business, But what I'm trying to say is that it takes more than just one thing to keep an aircraft business going. It has a fairly low profit margin. You can do it because you like it. And you have to have a bunch of other things going to keep the whole thing going, and it helps each other out.
So would we consider that? I think we would consider anything that was legal and good for the county. I don't think we're prepared to consider it today. I think that takes some research.
Understood.
And you'd have to present a lot of information to us on how this is gonna be done legally, and we'd have to look at, I mean, right now, if there is any money coming back from fuel, we're using that to offset tax dollars at the airport. So we've got to consider, where will we come up with? So there's a lot to be considered, but I don't wanna crush your future. Yeah, I personally would be open to hearing proposals in the future on that. Honestly though, I'd like to we already have one agreement in place with you. I'd like to see us start religiously honoring that one.
Okay.
Keep doing, so I don't get a call asking me about changing a light bulb if I think you're changing a light bulb. Now, if you need help changing the light bulb, and I'm free, I'll come out, but I would suggest we start honoring the agreement we have. You put together the research and the material on this idea and the regulations that we're gonna need help understanding. And we revisit this in a couple of months when you've been keeping track of hours for us, and we're tracking this, and we can talk about it again. I can't promise you anything other than I'm willing to consider.
Okay.
Now, I don't.
That's a
I'm
start.
Speaking for myself, but.
And I honestly, I think we're all in agreement that the cheap and easy thing to do is to just make records. Make records and do research.
That would be the way forward, to figure out, because we don't wanna do something that's short-sighted, illegal, unsafe.
Right.
Damages the airport, or hurts our reputation as an airport, Don't wanna do any of that. So I guess I would hold that out to you, is I personally would be willing to listen to your ideas in the future on that, but I would really wanna see you come around to honoring what you've got going right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other thoughts from the board? Okay, reminder for the audience, 2 minutes, but we'll go around the room if you have a comment or a question, and we'll start with John.
I just have a couple of comments. On the no fuel, I've previously reported half a dozen no-tems. I was called numerous times to do no-tems for work at the airport, helicopters at the airport. So no-tems are not anything that have not been taken care of, they have been. No fuel in the summer, I agree, that was a real fiasco. That's when one of them was leaving, it all got thrown into our face. That's when they were having a hell of a time getting drivers to get their loads out there. We don't get a big load at one time, we have to be split with another airport. And if they're not ready to take one, we can't get one. So it's at their mercy. On electrical, at the airport, instead of, hiring an electrician to come out and learn everything, John Groff has been was a hangar owner. John Groff knows pretty much everything about the airport, which is a good reference to have when you need electrical. On the airport lights, Jay and I replaced a lot. I know Randy's replaced a lot. That's just something that happens, and you have to just be aware of that. I don't understand it. And then the last thing that I'll get off of the boat is when Dustin says that he's responsible for lights and everything, Dustin is only responsible for what's in that house. Light bulbs in the house, toilet paper in the house, blah, blah, blah. If it's a sewer backed up, the county's responsible for it. If an appliance goes out, it's the county's responsibility, not Dustin's. Everything was geared with that new lease to protect not only Dustin, but us. So we knew where it is. FAA, Peter Boyle, came out and interviewed and inspected with me because we had a problem with the airport, the hangars, blah, blah, blah. Their final say was Dustin cannot sell gas out of that airport, and he cannot have that tank sitting next to the hangar. That was from Peter Boyle, the head of the FAA in Billings, Montana. And that is in the final report that was sent to prosecuting attorney's office last year sometime.
And what was the reasoning for not being able to sell fuel?
Because he's not bonded, he's not supposed to.
Based off of what?
He can, what FAA.
What rate?
Okay.
I don't know what he's talking
Okay.
Hang on,
about.
we'll come around to you.
I lost my train of thought there.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
fine.
Okay. Any comments?
I've been down at that airport for 50 years. I know the airport inside out, upside down, and backwards. There's things I agree with and things I don't. If you are curious about how something should work, give me a call.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
Can we get your name? Excuse me, can we get your name?
Randy Close.
Randy Close, okay.
Yes, sir. Any comment?
I don't have any comments.
No comments? Comments? Your turn.
So you want him to mow the landings, the landing strip that's not on the map officially, but has always been used that way with a push mower? Is that correct? Or is the county gonna do that in some way? You've got a grass field right next to the pavement. It's been used that way.
Who's
but,
been mowing it?
Usually, somebody that owns a hangar, or one of us that flies. Do any of you guys have a pilot's license? No. Okay, so this is all Greek to you, then basically. Is there a manual for the county, for the airport?
A manual telling us what we're supposed to do?
Well, there's from the FAA. Does the county have anything? Okay,
Not that
what
much.
about the list for who's going to be able to lease hangar space? And is there any land available?
The county, the commissioners maintain a list.
Okay, is that a public list?
I can show you that list.
Why does the county allow out-of-state and out-of-county people to have hangar space, and then you've got like 3 hangars that are empty? So those of us that live here that have airplanes can't put them in.
I couldn't tell you what the past policies have been on that, but
Well, what are they currently?
as far as the policies on who can rent,
Well,
we
you've
don't
got
have
3,
any change in
you've got a
policy.
hangar right next door to his that's empty. Okay, supposedly the county's gonna dump a bunch of money into it. It's the one that's got the gravel floor, correct? That was Mark's. And, so why is it not available?
couldn't tell you.
Okay, you're the airport manager, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. How do I find out when it's available or why it's not?
oh, something I'll have to look into. I wasn't
Okay.
aware of that situation.
Okay. So,
And
if
what
there's,
number is that?
huh?
What hangar number is that?
I don't know what number it is.
103.
Randy, do you know?
103.
103. You guys don't sell jet fuel, and many of us have aircraft that have STCs for automotive fuel, which is one of the voids he was trying to fill. So can I sell jet fuel there? I'm not cutting into the county, it brings more people in.
I honestly don't know the FAA regulations on who can sell fuel.
Okay, but what's the process of the county approving that?
I guess we'd
If I'm
first have
if
to-
I'm in compliance with the FAA,
I guess we'd have to start by talking to the FAA, cause I don't know the answer to that question.
okay. Well,
I've been an airport manager for 6 weeks.
I know you do, I know.
The two.
And the
and
FAA
you're-
didn't know either.
And you're the person who should be the phone number in the pilot's office if there's an issue, correct? Since you're the airport manager?
If we wanna tell a lot of people I don't know yet.
Well,
I'm sorry, your 2 minutes is coming.
That's fine.
Anything else? Last question?
oh, I just wondered what reg, if the FAA, Peter Boyle, had indicated that you can't sell fuel. I wanted to know what that reasoning was and if he knew.
One of the reasons is that, one in Redmond, I believe it was, or whatever, he showed you, that's the regs that they have, which is what they go by.
Right, okay. Okay,
And there is a policy manual in the airport hangars application.
It's basically the lease agreement.
For the county?
Yeah, for people.
Who has a copy?
Well, Tracy's got, there's, when you get a lease, there's a, what's it called, a management policy booklet.
Yeah, we have a binder with the lease agreements and the booklet.
It all came out
Can I,
last week.
But it's-
can I get a blank lease agreement so I can read one?
Let me see if I can find a blank one, if not, I'll have to redact some information out of the current one.
but yes.
That's fine. I just wanna see what it indicates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dustin, bringing it back to you, or do we have a direction forward?
I think so.
Okay,
Um,
you feel better about that?
I think so.
Okay.
Just be aware, expect calls from me 2-3 times a week on things.
Okay.
And I know you're probably short, don't have a ton of time, but I cannot operate on my own authority. I have to ask permission to do anything. So,
Which is why we wanna work towards a better plan in the future.
yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
but we can replace the light bulb if it needs it without calling you, right? Correct?
You can do the light bulbs.
And you're the person above
Basic
him in the
maintenance.
chain of
Oh.
command.
I am the point of contact to the airport
Okay.
for the board.
Great.
I
Yeah.
can't do anything without these two.
I'll
So
let you
change the
know
light
if
bulb.
I'm doing something.
I
you
can
know.
change the light bulb, but that's about it.
Yeah, I will be working on the windsock here in next week or two, but that's,
It's still bad.
Okay.
yeah, it's different.
All right, well, I'm going to adjourn this meeting because we have others to move on to. So thank you, and thanks for taking the time and bringing your notes. Thank you, everybody, for your patience, putting up with us. And once again, we leave knowing that I have a lot to learn.
We're at 2:30 with a meeting with Dustin at 2:37 about the airport leases. John, you go ahead.
So did you bring your paperwork with you?
I sure did.
So, question one, did you sign the release for your existing lease?
No,
Okay. Why, I guess?
I still can't. I just
Okay.
wanted to discuss.
Okay.
I just wanted to discuss it.
Well, the first step that we have to do according to legal is have you sign a release of your current lease,
Yes.
and then sign and approve the new lease.
Yep.
Okay, and then we can answer any questions.
Well, I have to agree. So anyhow, on the termination letter, it says here, this letter is to inform that the county is exercising its right to terminate the lease outlined in section 10 of the rental agreement. So, if you go to the existing rental agreement, it says, lease is non-assignable. Leasing privileges hereunder shall not be assigned by leasing in whole or part. And I'm just curious how that determines that.
I'm just saying what Lisa did, okay? County has exercised right to terminate the lease as outlined in section X. The rental agreement, leasing privileges herein shall not be assigned to lease in whole or part. Okay, well, apparently that's not what it is. This is the current lease you have?
Yes. Yep. And that is just a copy. So maybe making that correction first.
Lease occurred for 1 year, lease understands. it's supposed to be this. Lisa receives the right to terminate the permission hereby given at time, by giving the lease. At your head. 30-day notice of termination. Okay, so you read X1, and apparently that's what she missed on, or whoever did this. Okay, so we want to change this?
Yeah.
X1. Okay.
So maybe if you can print out one that has that correction on it. And then, the new lease.
No, it's gone. Did you do this, Jasmine, on that? I think Lori actually drew that up.
Let's see if I have it. See if that's in there, just.
I can just initial it, can't I just initial it?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be retyped, it's all.
If your copy reflects that.
I don't have a copy, I'll take a copy of that.
Just make it
That
copy
works.
You've
for
got
us.
both of them.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy of your lease or that letter. I give them both to you.
Interesting. Okay, so moving on to the lease agreement.
Okay?
Most of the stuff is kind of boilerplate,
Yeah.
pretty standard. And I have, no obligation, I'm okay doing everything in this.
Okay.
But, you get down here to, where's my word? Let's see. Maybe this is it. No, that was the old lease. Sorry about that. Lease agreement. Okay, here we go. This is the current lease agreement. So you go down here to section 15, Mormon Rules, further obligation of leasing. It really looks like you guys copy and pasted from the responsibilities and duties of airport manager and put them in here. So I'll read them out. Keep house grounds maintained, mowed, trimmed, watered, shoveled. That's what I've been doing. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Keep airport grounds maintained, mowed, trimmed, watered. Keep airport pilots lounge bathroom cleaned, stocked. Fuel tank area kept cleaned and maintained in good working order. Notice to the Board of County Commissioners if gone or out of the area for any period of time greater than 48 hours. Assist pilots arriving if assistance is needed. Assist pilots or guests with courtesy cars as needed. Check out courtesy cars when returned to ensure cars are brought back in the same condition as they left, kept in good running condition. Gas tanks fluids are kept full, and have county shop check them out regularly and notify the county commissioners of any problems. Maintenance on the house as needed, including normal maintenance on septic tank. This does not include the need to replace appliances. Replace runway and other lights on the ground as needed. Be present for and assist with all fuel deliveries available. Leasee and spouse are to be the only occupants of the house at 926 Airport Road, Smelterville, Idaho 83868, unless prior approval and arrangements have been made with county commissioners. Prior approval is required for anyone residing in the home more than 5 days. Leasee will carry his own renter's insurance on private property located at 926 Airport Road, Smelterville, Idaho 83868, and provide proof of insurance at the time of entering into lease agreement. So, as I read this here, I am taking care of the entire airport. I'm mowing the grass, I am taking care of the lights, I'm taking care of the fuel farm.
Well, no, it says if you need to be there to help them if available is what it says. And the reason all those are on there is you're living in the county house, not paying a lot of rent for it, and all those are little trivial things that aren't going to take every minute of your day to do it. And the other option, if you don't want to do any of that stuff, we don't have to provide you with a house.
I understand that.
So, my way of thinking and the commissioner's way of thinking is that we're allowing you to to live in that house at a very reasonable rate. We're taking care of utilities. That's just a little bit of stuff that you have to do to offset it.
It's, as it reads, I'm taking care of the whole airport.
You're taking care of all the, you're taking care of the grass. Well,
the whole airport.
okay, I can take that stuff out and we can adjust the rent. That's fine if that's what you want to do.
Well,
I mean, we're not into this. It's not negotiation. Yeah, I'm not trying to browbeat you or anything else. Those are things that should be able to be done. And it's not that you're doing it every single day or every single minute. It's just, okay, well, it looks like the grass needs to be mowed. I did it 10 days ago. That's about it. You know, the airport doesn't get gas every day. We don't have the planes coming in to get gas every day. It's not something where you're going to be maintaining all that stuff every single day of every single week.
As it's worded, it says that I am
responsible for maintaining it.
So that means financially, as far as I read it as well.
What are you paying for rent, Dustin?
Who pays all the bills at the
We pay everything. We pay water, sewer, and electric.
That's
That is
correct.
living, and you're paying $100 a month.
That's correct.
But that's $1 a month, now it's $100 a month. You're getting that place for, I mean, if you don't like it, and you don't wanna have the lease, I'm sure there's a lot of people we can put out there that wants to live there for nothing.
Not everybody can.
What do you mean not everybody can?
Well, I'm also providing aircraft maintenance.
But that isn't something we have to do.
That's correct.
You're making money off aircraft maintenance because you're the mechanic, it's your business, you're doing it. We're allowing you to have a business there. And you're not paying us anything to have the business there. That's your bread and butter. And now we're just asking you to do a little maintenance work for a little bit of like, and you're paying. I mean, your place is dirt cheap. I'd like to live there. That's cheaper when I'm paying for my house.
The house
I own a house.
is to have maintenance of our airport facilities.
But to be honest, not everybody can be just show it to be put in at the place at the
Not
airport.
everybody, but there are
Not
people
any.
available.
Do you want that worded different?
Like I said, most of this stuff I'm plenty happy doing. Like, I have been doing keeping the grounds, the pilot facility.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're happy.
Well, you have a lot more involved in here.
Right, but
You don't have to, you say you're the manager, you're not plowing the runway.
But that's
That's
how
what you
this
have to do
is
if you're a
working.
manager.
That's how this
It's
is
not saying
working.
you have to plow the runway. We have a guy we pay to do that.
I understand.
Then, okay, I don't understand. I don't understand why you're arguing because, I don't know, you just want the word manager behind your name, you wanna get paid to do it. And we don't have it in the budget to
So
have an
that-
airplane manager.
I get that, and that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is, as it's worded right now, I will be taking care of the fuel farm and the runway,
so your description
and financially responsible for everything, the house, the pilot's lounge.
There's nothing that said
There's
financial.
no financial.
No,
You've gotta maintain, if your refrigerator breaks, you gotta fix it, we're not going to.
Well, I get that,
And you don't have to pay for the toilet paper or the stuff for the airport lounge.
but
have people do that.
including normal maintenance on a septic tank.
well,
Yeah,
that's,
you gotta put Red X out there once a month. If you had a septic problem last
So-
summer.
So as it's worded, that kind of sounds like, okay, I have to pay for the pumping.
no,
If it plugs up again, I don't know, I would think so, because you gotta do the stuff. You didn't put it
I
in
do that. Yeah, I did actually.
before the got plugged?
Yep.
Then I don't know why it got plugged.
It was roots going into the baffle
Well,
box.
I'm sure if something like that happened, we would take care of that. We did before.
Okay. Okay. Well, if this is in simple terms, what are the changes from my current lease agreement to the new one? As far as what's the added expectations that are you looking for?
I just put all those new ones in there for a current lease for anybody else that would be out there. And it's not to make you do more work, is to have you there in case we need you to do something. That would be part of your responsibility. When they come in and say, gosh, nobody's mowed the grass for 2 months, that's something you should have done. I believe that was discussed when you went out there, that you were doing some of the maintenance work. Is that, yeah, it was.
Not for the runway.
No, that's
For the yard. Oh yeah, no,
that's what this whole thing is for the ground. It's nothing to do with the runway.
Yeah,
Nothing in
that's
the runway.
So
Maintaining lights.
So
The lights, yeah.
so house grounds maintained. That's kind of what but then you put airport grounds maintained. So airport grounds.
Okay.
Airport grounds.
Okay, you're mixing words.
Okay.
You want to keep it simple. You don't like what's in the lease. We just won't renew your lease if you're done. I mean, I'm not sitting here bantering back and forth with you about what you've got to do or what you shouldn't do or what we did or what you didn't do. Either you agree to that lease or you don't. It's a plain and simple thing, yes or no. I'm not trying to make you out there working 12 hours a day doing stuff for the airport. How many times are you going to mow? Maybe once a month, if twice a month. How many times are you going to have to water? Once every other day. All that stuff is trivial to what you have to do.
Yes, I
don't see why the big deal is.
I'm fine with all that.
Why are we discussing it?
It looks like I'm responsible for a lot. The whole airport.
You're not, and I said that. It's not with the airport, it's with the grounds for the house. And if somebody comes in with the plane and says, oh, where's the bathroom? Oh, they're right over there. Or somebody needs your house, they can't do it. That's just courtesy stuff. And that's what a lot of that is. So again, I'm not arguing with it. I don't really care if you take it or not. Legal has advised us to get a lease. Sure, drew up the lease. That's what they proposed. I like it. I'm sorry you don't like it. You do, sign it. One way or the other. Okay? I don't matter. I mean, it does matter to me if you have a place, but it doesn't, if you don't like the lease, what am I going to do? Either you're not going to sign it and you're done, or you are. One or the other. Okay?
Okay. I mean, yeah, as long as it's not maintaining the whole airport, I'm fine with that.
You are not maintaining the whole airport.
Okay. That's
You
fine.
still work out of town?
No.
No.
I'm here full time now.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see this.
That's your copy of the. Give me that and I'll put just my page next to that X. They know that I signed it.
Where is this? Just sign anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere on that. That's signed on this one. Both of my copy, yes. And then sign them both. No, I both now.
We'll need Jasmine to make copies of the new one.
Yeah, she'll make the new one.
Can you hand me that before he signs it?
He's got to sign the new lease.
Oh, okay.
Those two we already signed.
Okay.
Legal drafted those.
Yeah, legal did all that.
Yes, that's my copy.
notarized stuff, you guys didn't even know I'm notarizing that has to
Get copies.
Or did you attest that? Just get it, like a.
Oh, then actually, if I have a test, I'll have to have Angela notarize it. Okay, where's my own?
Then make us copies, please.
Yes,
So you have one more.
Yes, she has a second.
Thank you.
So you're not out of town anymore?
That's correct. I'm full-time at the airport.
Are you busy this time of year?
I'm always busy.
Do they do their annuals at this time of year when they can't fly or?
Year-round.
Oh.
I have one guy working for me.
Oh, well, you're doing pretty good. There's two of you there.
You'd think. Aviation has a very low profit margin and high risk. That's why there's a mechanic shortage across the country that's worse than the pilot shortage.
Probably get a job at Southwest right now to try it. I think they're looking for people.
I can get a job in Billings, Montana, pay me $40 an hour for benefits.
No? It's 41 degrees below zero, Billy, just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be from.
Yeah, I know.
My cousin's there.
Yes.
He called me.
Because aviation is what it is, nobody's wanting to get into it. And
So if you're not doing all that great, how come you hired a guy? Why don't you just do it all yourself?
because I was falling behind by myself. And then with going to catch camp, trying to catch up on personal finances, I wanted a guy there to, one, have an eyeball at the airport, uphold my agreement to, keep tabs of everything. And number two, so there's still forward momentum on projects.
Yeah, you gotta keep going.
And I'm still building a clientele. Just about every airplane that has been rolling through my doors haven't been actually looked at for a long time. So a lot of airplanes are needing a lot of retroactive maintenance. So that's why I'm busy, but it could be a couple of months before I see any checks.
Well, at least you have sunrise there. You tell people that I've got it. Not making money, I'm making friends.
Yeah, and that's just to be expected with a startup business. First couple of years, 5. You're not going to be making a whole lot of money. I've been funding this all myself, no business loan, no credit card, and maybe after 5 years, and I have a clientele base of airplanes that I've already seen. Then it'll start picking up. And then I'll start actually making a living. Because as it is right now, I'm making about $16,000 a year.
Yeah. For the cruise car, just to yell on.
And fortunately, yeah. No, that's true. Including the house.
Yeah.
If you took what that house would rent for plus $16,000, it'd be just above poverty level. You're right. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Would you put that on the courtesy car out there?
You mean the one with that license plate?
That'd be the one I'd start with that one to
Yeah.
see if it would work.
I think the registration's in there too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in the glove box or something.
Thank you. Is it getting used quite often?
No, hasn't been used at all.
Oh, it hasn't?
I think mainly because it doesn't have license plates.
Oh,
Yeah.
we just got them not too long ago.
I don't know. But, you guys did the swap right before winter. And, a lot of people don't fly in winter. Only nut jobs like Randy and I fly in winter.
And for this old guy, that's slowing down too. It just works that way.
Yeah.
Aviation business goes downhill through the winter.
Sure.
It did when, for 42 years, it did for when Dwayne Williams was there. Did for a dozen years when Ken Backdahl was there. That's just the way it works.
Nobody wants to fly in winter.
Well, you do, but it ends up to be an extra hassle a lot of times. So, ask me a question.
Does your plane have a heater in it?
Oh yeah. The airplane is not a problem. You can, in the middle of the winter, you can cook yourself out of it.
Yeah.
But what you have to do with those air-cooled engines, or it makes sense to do it, before you fly, when it's cold out, when it's down around 10 degrees out, you better preheat the engine. Because to start those engines, those air-cooled engines, without preheating them, yeah, you can get them started, but it isn't good for them. And the darn engines are too damn expensive to overhaul.
Oh, I bet.
That you do not want to have to overhaul it prematurely. My engine, for instance, it's recommended that it be overhauled after 1,500 hours. That's not all that much.
Yeah.
And if you booger that engine up because you're too lazy to preheat it before you go fly it in the cold winter, and you gotta overhaul it at 1,000 hours instead of 1,500, you're just so.
You have like a winch in the back of the boat?
I got a winch in the hangar.
Yeah.
To pull it in.
I see.
And there's a few people do
It's like
that.
the tamaracks they used to get out in the woods.
There you go.
Down
There you go. But there's various reasons why people don't fly nearly as much in the winter. And you don't get, as you guys know, you don't get the fuel business in the winter because during the summer, there's two things that make a difference. Your fuel, more often than not, or the county fuel, has been lower than everybody else's. So somebody says from Spokane or Sandpoint.
Yeah, I did, but listen, there was no line for Angela. She filled this part of the notary out, and then her signature, we just printed a whole separate form. So this still counts, just so you're on the same page as me. She just had to have a line and sign. So it's the same agreement. She just had a page with her signature on it.
Okay. Thank you. There's a lot of people who will say, well, from Sandpoint, maybe Spokane, whatever, let's fly over to Shoshone County and buy their cheap gas.
Yeah.
Well, what that really is, more than anything, is an excuse to Because if you figure going from Sandpoint or whatever over and back,
You haven't saved a nickel.
you haven't saved a damn
It's like going here to Coeur d'Alene to fill up your car. Exactly.
If you have to go to Coeur d'Alene anyway, it's great.
If you're going, that's one thing, but if you
Oh,
just
stay out, you go to Coeur d'Alene, fill it up, and come back?
no, I don't know.
So since we don't have now, price of our gas down there now is not cheaper than everybody else. And when that's the case, and you throw in the winter, you don't have people coming in there. That fuel will sit in there way longer in the tank than it does in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
It'll sit in there way longer.
We held on in fuel this summer. It gets so low.
Well,
couldn't get the trucks there.
we got to work it on it. How are we gonna?
Tracy.
How are we gonna?
Tracy.
She gonna?
I give her her number.
Okay, because we need to keep this going.
Yeah.
So we don't have a problem. And you guys know exactly what it's been.
Oh, yeah.
And we can avoid that if somebody keeps an eye on things. And yeah. All right. Very good. Don't you guys sit around and get old when you retire?
No, we won't.